Alpha-GPC is one of the most powerful nootropics out there for boosting motivation, memory, better planning skills, and at the end of the video I'm going to share with you my rating of this nootropic supplement. I've been using Alpha-GPC over 8 years now, and if you're new to the channel, consider subscribing. I'm Michael Dougal, the nootropic reviewer, and let's take a deep dive into the benefits of Alpha-GPC. Alpha-GPC is a cholinergic compound, and what it does is it increases the level of a specific chemical in the brain called acetylcholine, and acetylcholine is responsible for things like memory, learning, and better thinking. Virtually every area of cognition will be improved with the use of Alpha-GPC. And the way that I first came across Alpha-GPC is because I was looking for a natural supplement that I could use to eliminate fatigue and just have those longer productive workdays. And although it's not stimulating like caffeine is, you definitely do notice an effect within a few days. Some people notice the effect instantly. What you should experience is slightly better energy levels, clearer thinking, and Alpha-GPC really feels like you're recharging your battery. So it's like as you're going about the day, adding some Alpha-GPC in there just really does help you to have some clear-mindedness for you to just be as productive during the second half of the day as the first half of the day. And one thing that really surprised me was that Alpha-GPC pairs well with pretty much all nootropics out there. In fact, there seems to be a synergy with a lot of nootropics that if you pair a nootropic along with Alpha-GPC, you'll find that the initial nootropic works even better. So the mental benefits with Alpha-GPC, they were discovered way earlier. We're looking back into the early 90s, but what's really interesting now is within the past 5 to 10 years, we actually have a lot of emerging research showing that Alpha-GPC can also be effective with physical performance. So they clearly found a difference between the Alpha-GPC group versus the placebo group. It's effective at increasing lower body force production after 6 days of supplementation. Therefore, sports performance coaches can consider adding Alpha-GPC to their diet. This study measured isometric strength, so these are strength-related exercises that don't require any movement, like a plank, for example. Though regardless of whatever style of exercise you prefer, I do feel Alpha-GPC may help a little bit, nothing too significant, but I think it may be more effective for those of you that don't ingest caffeine pre-workout. Will it help to boost your testosterone levels? I really don't think so. That hasn't been my experience. Though I really believe that the mechanism of action in which it may improve testosterone levels is through helping people with their workouts or even just encouraging them to get to the gym in the first place. Because as shown in this more recent study, Alpha-GPC can significantly improve motivation levels, specifically motivation levels in the evening. So what they did in this study was they took healthy individuals between age 22 to 59 years old, and the study subjects were assessed 3 times a day based on subjective feelings of motivation, to which they all pretty much answered that, and there were clear findings that the group that was taking Alpha-GPC versus the placebo experienced higher motivation levels. And you really come across a lot of success stories if you just browse on Reddit or you browse on Quora for people's experiences. And Examine.com has done a great job to compile a number of studies to really show us what the intended benefit would be of taking a specific nootropic. And prior, we had a lot of research showing that Alpha-GPC could be effective with those that may be experiencing some memory loss or early signs of dementia. So it definitely is really exciting that now we have some research showing that it can as well work with healthy young individuals like myself. Alpha-GPC is specifically a form of choline, but the way that you can actually get choline through your diet, eggs, but it's not the egg white, it's the egg yolk. One large egg contains about 150 milligrams of choline, and what's so is if you were to cook the egg, unfortunately 2/3 of the choline is going to be gone. The main difference between consuming your choline through egg yolks versus Alpha-GPC is that the form of choline in egg yolks is fat soluble, but the form of choline in Alpha-GPC is water soluble. And you're going to hear mixed opinions about this. I personally feel the effects more so when I consume Alpha-GPC over egg yolks. However, we recently did have somewhat of a concern about Alpha-GPC and choline ingestion because of this specific study here, association of Alpha-GPC with subsequent stroke risk after 10 years. And specifically what happens is when you consume any form of choline, it increases trimethylamine oxide, also known as TMAO, and as TMAO goes up, stroke likelihood also does go up. So fortunately, eggs produce a very low amount of TMAO, which means that risk stroke should be minimized. And what they had found through using different forms of choline as well as egg yolks was that assuming that TMAO may have undesirable effects, of course it would, given that it could increase the likelihood of having a stroke, egg supplementation may be best suited for choline supplementation in adults. Fortunately, there are ways to reduce TMAO levels for all of you Alpha-GPC lovers. You can do things like you can increase the consumption of garlic, probiotics, fermented foods, olive oil, and fiber. One of the other downsides of Alpha-GPC use would be the many side effects, and some of the most common ones include nausea as well as a little bit of sadness. You can almost say symptoms of depression. Some people even experience withdrawals. It's like they get the exact opposite reaction of what they were expecting to get from Alpha-GPC. So instead of being able to think a lot more clearly, they actually have brain fog. If you were to try any form of choline, Alpha-GPC is the one where it's like more benefit but also more risk. A lot of people don't respond that favorably to it. The other forms which are somewhat popular, would be CDP choline and choline bitartrate. So alpha-GPC crosses the blood-brain barrier a lot more effectively, so I personally found it working far more than I felt CDP choline or choline bitartrate. I barely felt that one working. And when I first started taking alpha-GPC, I started off with somewhat of a moderate dose of 150 milligrams once a day, and I really enjoyed it as far as verbal fluency, having a better memory, improved motivation levels. So I made the mistake, you can say, of increasing my dosage up to 1 gram a day, and that's when I learned that more alpha-GPC is not a good thing. In my case, it was a bad thing, and you're definitely going to find that you need to find your sweet spot with this specific nootropic. So don't give up on alpha-GPC, just try it in a different fashion, whether that's a smaller dosage or spreading it across the day, kind of similar to how you would with caffeine. And if you look at a lot of different nootropic blends, there's a reason why alpha-GPC is a common ingredient. Some of my favorites are Quality of Mind and Gorilla Mind Smooth. They're most likely going to have alpha-GPC contained as one of the ingredients because it does more good than it does bad. Whether you're a student, entrepreneur, whether you're in sales like myself, you should see some sort of benefit. And after you start taking it every single day for a few weeks, maybe even a few months, you really notice alpha-GPC being gone once it's out of your stack. The first time that I removed alpha-GPC from my stack, I could definitely tell as far as like my verbal fluency, being sharp on my feet, my memory, it really wasn't there. And that was a time when I really learned that alpha-GPC was actually doing something. With respect to dosage, the way you may want to get started, like how I started, was by taking 100 milligrams to 200 milligrams once a day. You can see how you respond to it. If you were to get it in the capsule form, you're typically going to find capsules of about 150 milligrams. That seems to be a common serving size, but you can also go ahead and find it in the powder form because, of course, with the powder form, you can adjust the dosage. I sometimes like taking a little bit more alpha-GPC pre-workout or on days when I'm ingesting some of these stronger substances like phenylpiracetam or modafinil. And if you respond okay to the consumption of alpha-GPC once a day, then of course you can gradually increase it. And because I look at alpha-GPC kind of like a nootropic supplement that refills your batteries, so if I have a very long workday, I'll take alpha-GPC 3 times a day at that dosage of 150 milligrams. That ends up being close to about 600 milligrams per day, but most days I end up consuming about 400 to 500 milligrams of alpha-GPC, and this seems to be a common serving size. If you're to take alpha-GPC just once during the day, I would take it sometime in the morning. I would wait an hour after waking up and then consume your first serving, and if you were to use it twice a day, then I would consume alpha-GPC about an hour after waking up, and then I would consume it again 6 hours following that serving. One of the most appropriate uses for alpha-GPC is using it along with the racetams. The racetams being one of the most popular synthetic nootropics out there for energy levels, for motivation, and better thinking. And pairing the racetams with alpha-GPC makes for a really good nootropic stack, though I want you to know that you can still take alpha-GPC by itself. Don't think that the only reason to take alpha-GPC is because you're taking it with the racetams. It's like, no, using alpha-GPC will help to prevent any side effects from racetams in most cases, but even if you weren't taking any nootropics at all and you were to add alpha-GPC independently, you should still see results. I personally not really found that the vendor makes too much of a difference, though the form of alpha-GPC I've been comfortable consuming lately has been the form from Nootropics Depot. You can see the powder form, also the capsule form. You'll likely find it in the 50% form or the 99% form. Really, there's no difference between the two, but just for the sake of convenience, if you get it in the powder form, there's no need to get the 99%. It's very, very sticky compared to the 50% form, which you can just conveniently take in a serving, which you can just conveniently take out of the bottle with no issues. So my overall rating with alpha-GPC would be a 9 out of 10. Super effective. The only downside with alpha-GPC is I really dislike how often I have to take it. With other nootropics, it's great. I can take them once during the day, get the benefit throughout the whole day, but with alpha-GPC, it's not easy to always remember, and plus the fact that with this nootropic, I'm using it accordingly to my day. Like if I have a longer workday, I'll just use more alpha-GPC. Sometimes I can forget, like we're human, but I'd love to know your thoughts about alpha-GPC in the comments section below. Be sure to subscribe, drop a like, and if you want to chat with me one-on-one, you can do so over on Discord, over on Patreon, or you can send me a direct message to my Instagram, and be sure to visit our Discord server, which has a 24/7 chat room. We're having a lot of fun. I thank you for your interest in nootropics and look forward to seeing you next time.